Welcome to Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. We've all heard the term horsing around. What does that conjure up in your mind, horsing around? Maybe your kid's doing a pillow fight in the bedroom, or even some little ponies frolicking around in the field. Well, horsing around, we're not going to be talking about that today. Something actually regarding horses, but a little bit different, actually quite a lot different. We're going to be talking about horses for healing. So now when we talk about horsing around, we're not going to be talking about those kids frolicking or playing pillow fights or fighting or jumping around. We're going to talk about something serious. We're going to talk about horses being used for healing, helping people with traumatic stress, with traumatic disorders, with using horses as equine psychotherapy that supports the healing of pervasive trauma. So it is something a little bit more serious than just horsing around. So when we come back from this break, we're going to talk about horses for healing right after this.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too, and that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We are normal people just like you.
And together, we can make a difference.
Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Welcome back to the program. Horses for Healing has been around New Mexico since 2013. So I'd say, counting, that's like 10-year anniversary this year. It's in Corrales, and it's helping many people in the community. People who have different illnesses, but mainly dealing with stress and actually some cognitive disorders. So my guest will be able to tell us how in the heck can horses help heal people. Caitlin Erickson, thank you so much for being a part of the program. She's the executive director for Horses for Healing. And Andrew Burr, nice smile there, Andrew. He is on the board of directors and he's the president of the board. Welcome to the program and thanks for all you're doing for our community. And I'm going to start with you, Andrew. I said horsing around and you smiled. You're not horsing around in Corrales, are you?
Not at the facility, no.
Not at the,
no.
Otherwise.
Otherwise, yes. Yes.
At the facility, what's going on there, Andrew?
Great organization. We help a lot of at-risk kids, a lot of veterans, and we utilize horses to make that happen.
And you're giving horses a second, third, or fourth chance.
Exactly.
Caitlin, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for what you're doing. You're proud to be the executive director. You've been involved with Horses for Healing for 10 years now, recently the executive director. Yeah. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
And I know you can describe what it is. What is Horses for Healing?
Yeah, Horses for Healing is a wonderful agency. We're a nonprofit and we provide equine assisted psychotherapy, which is real therapy. It's licensed professionals who take what they know and learn and use the horses to create a healing package, if you will.
And it's covered by insurance?
It is covered by insurance. We accept most insurances, Medicaid and commercial. We also have a veteran grant that covers our veteran program grant. And so financially, they are all covered for that.
I'm going to go between both of you, what kind of person needs this therapy, Andrew?
Well, as I said earlier, our veterans with the issues that they have, our at-risk kids, anybody that is trying to help with that mind to help reset them and get them back on track and get them back into the community as needed.
There's other kind of therapies out there for people. Why would they choose horses for their therapy?
Great question. I think a lot of our clients choose it because they've tried an office-based therapy and they want something different. They want something, I think, that they connect to a little bit more. You have your horse, which provides a whole level of organic and attunement to what you're going through, and then you're also outside, and so it's just so different than being inside an office. So so I think they're looking for something different. And then the people are just coming for the first time. They feel connected to the horses and to what we're doing, and they find that so healing.
I thought, Andrew, before I did some research on this, I thought, oh, horses for healing, they're going to be riding around Corrales, but that isn't the case.
No.
So how does it work, Andrew?
So it's all hands-on, groundwork predominantly. 99% of our horses aren't ridden, but it's the interaction of taking that horse and that human and putting those two together and having various tasks that they can do to accomplish in each of those sessions. So it's remarkable. You know, a horse, as I said earlier, you know, he can feel your heartbeat at 6 feet away. So he understands and feels you in your anxieties, your highs and your lows, and it allows that person and that horse to accomplish those tasks at the end of the day.
And how does that work, though? Give me an example.
Well, I mean, a horse is it's a fight or flight type of animal. So when you take somebody with mental issues, they will begin to bond with you.
Would they fly? I mean, if someone comes with high anxiety near a horse 6 feet away, what kind of reaction would you get from the horse?
So typically high anxiety, they probably would be on their behavior, you know, okay, what's going on here? But a horse and a human interact very, very beautifully. And that horse will actually come down to the level of that person and actually realistically try to help that person move through their needs. I think Winston Churchill said that every hour on a horse is never wasted, based on the fact of that bond between an equine or a horse and a human. Does that make sense?
So it comes down or goes to the level of the person. So I would think the horse would be afraid of a person with high anxiety.
Typically not, no. No.
So what's the process? How long typically would a psychotherapy with a horse be, Caitlin?
So they're 1-hour sessions, and they're held weekly, but there's no time limit on how long you can come to sessions. So some clients will come for 3 months, and some will come for 5 years. You know, some of our clients don't want to leave, right? They get so much from it, and they build that bond with their horse. And I'd love to give an example of what he was talking about. You're saying I feel like a horse might kind of run away from that anxiety. And so many of our horses do the exact opposite. They move into that feeling. And so we have a client who comes and will identify physically where they feel that anxiety. And one of our therapy horses will pinpoint that and literally put her head on the client and just sit there and just hold that space. So meeting the client where they are, and that's what the horses give them.
So tell me about a typical session. I mean, envisioning, first of all, I was thinking they're going to be riding around Corrales, but they're not.
They're not.
And then I'm thinking, well, they're brushing the horse. I'm not sure.
Yes,
Tell me.
Yeah, so it can be anything from herd observation, so watching all the horses interact with each other. How are they engaging? How are they boundary setting? How are they meeting each other's need in the herd? And so observing them.
And so if, in that case, are they with a therapist as well?
Yeah, they're always with a therapist. Yeah, so safety first. They're always with a therapist.
So in this session, a typical first session maybe is watching the herd. What kind of healthy help are they receiving from that if they're watching the herd?
Well, I think one, you're coming from, you're not in a clinical setting inside, so you're outside. Most people don't get the opportunity to be around a horse. So that's that first movement of getting them out of the car, getting them into the facility. They can begin to wind down, if you will.
An experience they've never had before.
Exactly. So most of these, at least with the kids, most of these kids have, like I said, never seen a horse, touched a horse, been to a facility. So that begins that therapy for them, getting their mind straight. If you would you agree?
Yeah.
And a horse is a magnificent animal, and it's just people come and see the horses and they're in awe of having that opportunity to come to the facility.
So it opens up their future, gives them maybe hope or something, at least a change of scenery instead of, like you say, instead of being inside in the clinic, and maybe that's why they're depressed or whatever, because they are just inside. So I understand getting them outside. I don't know enough about horses, that reaction, but the first one is watching the herd.
so
and
watching
with they're with a psychotherapist.
Correct.
And
And
sharing
so we're
their
also
feelings.
doing a lot of grounding in that moment. We're outside, we're feeling the earth, we're engaging our sensories. So we're also touching the horses, feeling the sunshine, feeling the wind. Excuse me. And then we progress from there. So they get to choose their own horse. So they meet them all, they engage with them, and they really pick based on that connection. So we don't share about the horses. And the horse really picks them is what happens.
How is that? How is that there, Andrew?
You have to, a horse likes to bond with a human. They're a herd animal. So when we are, I don't want to say breaking a horse, or when you are working with a young horse, they want to connect with you. They have a very strong connection to humans, and that is as you break a horse, as you train a horse, a young horse, an old horse, they will bond with you. Not like a dog, but they want to hook, what we call it hooking up. So they want to hook up with that human. And
It's just not at feeding time. It's just not at feeding time, Andrew?
No. They look for you, they look to humans for security. So again, they understand the feel. When you ride a horse, they can feel every movement, your anxiety, as well as when you're on the ground. So it's a neat animal. I mean, it's a very diverse, as I said, fight or flight. They want to, as long as you're with them and calm, they want to be with you.
What would a next session be like?
Yeah, so then we'll halter them, we'll groom them, and we're also building independence, autonomy, confidence in doing that, in that the client is with the therapist and getting training, but they're also doing it, right? They're going through the steps. So grooming, and then how to lead your horse, how to communicate with your horse, how to read your horse's communication. That's a really big part of that relationship building, is how do you communicate with your horse, but how does your horse communicate with you? So we're really picking up on body language, their interaction with you.
Okay, Andrew, your turn. How does a horse communicate with us? And with these patients, I mean, you call them patients?
They're
Clients.
Clients. Your clients,
So,
okay.
I mean, they will react to you. I mean, they will show, they give to you. They give to you. And as I said earlier, as they bond and hook up with you, the ears pinned back, head down, that's how they will communicate with you.
What do the clients say about that reaction, Andrew?
Well, I think most of them, the ones that I've been around, it's a matter that they have never had that one-on-one. Maybe if it's an at-risk child, he's never had that bonding at home. If it's a veteran, he's had a lot of stress in his life. So reconnecting with that bonding and having that horse kind of give back to him. That's why I don't want to say they don't ever leave, but that's why we are so full in our with our clinicians, that it is just, people just want to come back. They see that need, and they're getting something very, very good out of it.
And they might not be getting this from people, you're saying,
Exactly.
in their households.
Right. Exactly.
What have clients told you, Caitlin?
Usually they're just amazed at the almost unconditional bonding that will happen. It's like, my horse doesn't even know me yet, and look at how accepting that horse is of what I'm going through and what I'm feeling and who I am as a person.
Now, how do they sense that?
How the
Your
horse
clients.
is engaging
No, how
with
the
them.
clients, how do the clients sense that this horse is bonding with them and
and
liking
it's how
them?
that horse is interacting with them, right? We have one horse who will follow you around the pen, right? Or place her head on your chest, right? And so even though you're maybe internally feeling stress and chaos and trauma, that horse is not scared. That horse is not running away from you or rejecting you. That horse is accepting you in the moment. And they sense that. The clients, you feel it. And it's amazing.
Give me an example of some cases, Caitlin.
Yeah, one that sticks with me a lot is a 10-year-old boy we had out there who was going through some really intense, dark thoughts, some suicide ideation. And he was shut down. He wasn't engaging with the therapist or his parents. He just didn't feel that emotional safety. And so we did what we know to do. We took him to the horses, and he had one therapy horse already bonded with him who just like saw him arrive and like went to the gate and waited for him. And so we took him in there and we just held space. We sat with his horse, and his horse followed him around, and he went to the far corner. And then they sat, I'll never forget this image, just sat like head to head for like probably 20 minutes, just sitting there. And our therapists are trained on how to hold that space, not interfere. And she held space with the client. They just sat there in that moment, just being present. And then the client looked up with tears and said, "I've never felt so safe." And he hugged his horse, and then he engaged with the therapist. They made a safety plan. He went back and talked to his parents. And it was like, if we had interfered in that moment, you know, we couldn't have done what the horse did, which is just make the client feel accepted. In a moment of emotion, he felt like no one else could handle with him, and his horse did, and his horse was not going to leave. You know, even if that client had tried to make him leave, he was there. He was present and just held that. So I'll never forget that moment of just the horse just being there.
Now, that 10-year-old, did he stay in the program long, or did he go
Yes.
with the clinic, another therapist?
No,
he
he stayed in our program.
How old is he now? Is he out there now?
Oh gosh, he is 14 now. Still in our program.
Still in the
actually.
program.
Yeah.
They find a very, very, very safe place.
They really do.
It's amazing.
Do you know, give me some other, I'll ask you some other cases as well. What do you recall out of your clients?
Probably one that's very, very close to me, and I won't say whom, but sent my oldest boy. Had some anxieties in life, and pretty amazing. And he's always been around horses, but it's just amazing how he connected, how he was able to, as an adolescent, take what the therapist did with him, and to watch him blossom today at 24 is amazing. So that's a personal side of it. Pretty cool.
How about any women who are connecting with these horses?
Definitely.
Give me
I
some
was
other-
actually thinking of a veteran kind of story, and this is actually a female veteran. So often coming in with PTSD, they're hesitant to receive services already, and then they have a lot of just that internal chaos almost. And so she came to the program and was really shut down. Even didn't even want to pick a horse, didn't really want to engage with the horses.
Why did she choose to come to therapy? I mean, that's an interesting case.
You know, I think it's really, you know,
That sounds really like a realistic, serious
Yeah,
case.
It happens a lot. And really, I think it's the client recognizing what's going on with my trauma is interfering with my life. The life I want, I can't get to because what's going on inside is holding them back. And so they push themselves out there, or they maybe get a personal referral. We do a lot of our clients refer, especially in our veteran community, they refer to their other veterans. And so, you know, willing to give it a try. And so
But she was willing to give it a try, but when she came, she didn't want to start engaging.
yeah, and it's hard because sometimes
Which makes sense for someone who is really struggling. They don't want to take part.
correct. And oftentimes too, when the internal chaos is so strong, you get really good at putting up those defenses, right? So on the outside, you look okay. The horses can feel it though. And so immediately that connection with your horse is breaking down barriers that most people aren't going to be able to do. And that can be really scary. Because if you have an internal narrative like many of our veterans do with their PTSD, that I've, you know, done bad things within my military experience, or I'm not a good person, or I don't deserve that connection and love anymore. The horse having this unconditional response to you of like acceptance is really scary. And so she went through that process, and again, our therapists are trained on how to just take that slow. We meet the client where they are, and we build trust. We allow that process. And 3 years later, she's still in our program, and she is like our rock star volunteer. And she worked the process. She stayed committed, built trust, and she was able to work through all of that PTSD and the trauma. And pretty much tells us, like, my life is completely changed in ways I never could have imagined. And her statement I love is, healed me in ways I didn't even know I needed healing. So.
Sometimes people don't even know what they don't know, right? That's
Yeah.
I've heard that statement. He doesn't even know what he doesn't know. Very good. Any other cases you'd like to share with us? examples of people?
I think it's every case is different, but I think it's a great organization. I've been there 5 years, and what a wonderful organization it is.
Very good. We have more time, so tell us some other cases.
There you go.
Oh goodness, there's so many good ones. I love our veteran program specifically because within that they also receive complementary services, which includes yoga, restorative yoga, and acupuncture and like a holistic Chinese medicine doctor.
Now, is that just for veterans, these restorative
That's specifically for our veteran program. So veterans and their immediate family members have access to that. So they get the mental health equine therapy and they get these wraparound services if they choose to. And that's
trauma release therapy, acupuncture,
yes.
And the restorative yoga, mindfulness. What is that, mindfulness?
Yeah, so mindfulness is really getting connected with your mind and body to be present in this moment. So not reliving memories from the past, not like future planning all the time, but really connecting with
I circle that one.
So you're really connecting with I'm here and now. What am I feeling in my body? What am I thinking? What do I feel around me? It's really powerful and also really hard if you're not used to doing that. So our equine partners do that, but the mindfulness training specifically just enhances that.
Now, these partners, are they located at your facility or somewhere else?
Both. So the yoga instructor actually works on site. She has a program that utilizes the horses with the yoga. So not yoga on horses, which would be really cool, but they take the yoga principle from their 1 hour session and then they go out to the horses and apply that principle to the horses and their work with the horses. So maybe their principle is like breath work. So focusing on controlling your breathing and calming your nervous system. And then you can take that and do breathing with your horses and feel them breathe while you're breathing and the sensory aspect of that.
Okay, Andrew, what do you think of that? What do you think of that, Andrew?
I think, I probably should be doing that myself.
I think we all should be doing it all. Can we start doing it right now in the show?
Yeah.
Oh, how wonderful. To get involved, they can look online for more information. What else can they do?
Definitely, yeah. Go to our website. That has a lot of information. And our social media is really, really full of educational content, how to support our program, reels just for a good laugh. If you really want to see our therapy horses and like be on site, our reels, so Instagram and Facebook are really great for that. And then reach out to us, give us a call or fill out our web form. We do site visits. We can hook you up in terms of what would therapy look like out here, how can we support. So great avenues there.
You're open Monday through Friday,
Monday
mainly?
through Friday. We are by appointment only, so definitely call first, but we will definitely get you scheduled for something.
And the vision, Andrew, is horses helping humans, humans helping horses.
Correct.
Now, how are the humans helping the horses?
Well, so, most of these horses are in their third or fourth career. So they're a little aged, but they're giving it back to the community in great ways. So they get a repurpose in life to come help humans.
What were the other careers for these horses, Andrew?
So they could have been ex-roping horses, performance horses, might be trail horses. It's a smattering of.
We have a couple off the track thoroughbreds as
okay.
well.
Yeah, that's true. That came this year.
Mm-hmm.
So so they've done it all, and they either are too old, they can't ride anymore, or they've had injuries, but it allows these horses to have a good end of their life.
Your website says it's evidence-based clinical equine psychotherapy. What does that mean, evidence-based?
That means that the model we're using to provide therapy has research and evidence backing that it actually works. It's not just us coming in and saying, hey, it's really fun to hang out with horses, let's heal your trauma. Right. It's actually saying what we do is real and there's evidence to back that it works. It provides the outcome we say it does.
Also, other kinds of trauma that they've had, it says provisions of client-centered, trauma-informed. What does that mean?
Yeah, so that means that we apply a trauma lens to what we do, meaning trauma can show itself, especially in children, as behaviors, like problem behaviors. And when you don't apply a trauma lens, you might just say, well, we need to extinguish that behavior. That's a problem. But why is that behavior happening? And so that trauma-informed lens allows us to go, well, there's this experience that is manifesting and showing itself through this behavior. And so we're able to treat the core of what's going on, not just the behavior. And then, of course, that's translated through with our adults as well, with the PTSD diagnosis is obviously trauma-based.
Other than PTSD, what do the adults face? What kind of traumas are they facing now?
It varies so much. A lot of childhood trauma that will come through in your adult relationships and adult relationship with yourself. And then COVID seems to have brought along just a lot of life changes for adults that some of us are struggling to process. And how do we go back to a normal life? And so we're offering a lot of support for that recently.
In the past 10 years, in addition to COVID or other than COVID, what kind of traumas, what are we seeing in our community? Are we sicker than ever?
I do think there's a disconnect between that physical health and our mental health. So kind of supporting clients, especially with medication management. Is Albuquerque and New Mexico, right? We do have a shortage of mental health providers, and it's hard to find a psychiatrist. So we do have some support there in helping them, connect with resources in the community as they receive their mental health services.
But we have enough horses, I guess, to go around. We just have a couple minutes left. I want to thank Andrew Burr, president of the board for Horses for Healing. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers about your program that they may not be aware of, Andrew?
It's a great program. When we look at the number of people that have stayed for these last 10 years, we know we're making a dent in the mental health with our horses.
Congratulations. Caitlin Erickson, thank you so much for all you've done for connecting with me.
Thank you.
Human to human.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts you'd like to share, Caitlin, who's the executive director for Horses for Healing?
Just that, if you're struggling, you're not alone. Right? Is that there's lots of people in the community, ourselves included, who are there to help. And please reach out.
And how can they find you again, Caitlin?
Yeah, so our website is horsesforhealingnm.org. That's all spelled out, as well as our social media, which is Horses for Healing NM on Instagram and Facebook. And our website has email addresses and phone numbers as well.
Do people need a referral from their primary, or they can just
They do not. They can just refer themselves.
And if they want to just get a glimpse, you welcome them
We'll
for
do a site visit. We'll give them a tour and talk through what we do in person and see if we can support them.
Very good. Thank you so much. And appreciate you. And now you can go after this program, Andrew, go horsing around somewhere else, right? Thanks again, Caitlin, for being a part of the program, Andrew. Thanks for watching this show. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Make it a great week with your family. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Fire threatens everything in its path. When it threatens our communities, we respond. We bring the fight to the front line. The Army National Guard stands ready because sometimes the front lines are in our own backyard. We will always be there when our community needs us the most. Find out more about serving your community part-time by visiting nationalguard.com.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program or to purchase a copy of any Issues and Answers program, visit sunbroadcasting.org or call us at 505-345-1991.